Hello, this is Devin from allabout.education.com, and in this video we're going to go over some practice product rule problems. Alright, let's get started. Okay, here's a restatement of the product rule. It just is a way, it tells us how to differentiate products of functions. So let's get started with the first example. Okay, let's suppose we want to differentiate the product of the square root of x, right here, times x cubed minus 2x. Now you could just multiply this out, but it might be a little annoying because you're going to have these fractional powers sitting around. So let's use the product rule to do this maybe a simpler way. Okay, so what do we get? Well, this is our f, and this is our g. So f prime, well, let's write that out. So we have f is equal to the square root of x is equal to x to the 1/2. And g is equal to x cubed minus 2x. Okay, so we find that this derivative, let's just follow the product rule. Well, f prime is going to be the derivative of this, which will be 1/2 times x to the minus 1/2. G is just x cubed minus 2x plus f times g prime. Now g prime we can handle. We just have to treat each term separately. So we get 3x squared and then minus 2. And that's our answer. Now you could simplify this a little bit. Obviously this is just 1 over 2 square root of x, etc., but this is a perfectly acceptable form. Okay, let's move on to the second example. Okay, let's suppose now that we have the product of two trigonometric functions. So we want to calculate the derivative of cosine of x times sine of x. Let's do this. So once again, this would be our f of x. This would be our g of x. So what do we get? Well, f prime is going to be minus sine of x, right? Because it's the derivative of cosine of x. G is just sine of x. Plus f, so that's cosine, times g prime, which is also cosine of x. Alright, so we get this is equal to minus sine squared of x plus cosine squared of x, and that's it. Okay, let's look at the final example. Okay, this is the last example I'm going to do for you guys. This is actually a little more complicated, right? Because now we have x squared times sine of x times tangent of x. So this is a product of three functions, which is a little different than what we have here, but we can do it the same way. And the way we approach this is we treat this part right here. Now you could pick any two of these, but I'm going to pick x squared and sine of x. We treat this as our f of x. Now this itself is a product of functions, so we're basically going to have to use the product rule twice. But we can handle that. So that's our f of x, and then tangent is going to be our g of x. Okay, so here's how I'm going to write this. So this is going to be equal to, well, we need f prime, right? So let's calculate that off in the side here. Alright, well, we have to use the product rule. So it's the product of x squared times sine of x. So x squared would be f, sine of x would be g. Alright, so we get 2x times the sine of x plus x squared cosine of x. Now this is actually the example I did in the first video where I talked about the product rule, so hopefully you're familiar with this. Anyway, once you've calculated f prime, now we're ready to plug it into the product rule just as usual, and we can calculate the derivative of this function here. So f prime is this. We leave g alone. Now we add to it f, which is x squared sine of x times g prime. Now you'll remember that the derivative of tangent is secant squared. Okay, and that's it. That's not too bad. That's about as difficult as you could ever expect on a test. You know, I doubt they'll ever give you the product of 4 functions, though if they did, you have the machinery to handle it. So, right. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. As always, if you have any comments or questions, please feel free to post them, and I'll try to get back to you. And of course, please subscribe to our channel. Alright, thanks a bunch.